Reports say the city's biggest two supermarket chains, Park and Shop and Welcome, could merge. Security Secretary Chris Tang explains the 999 call center situation during the typhoon fire. And Donald Trump announced a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Hong Kong's supermarket sector might be heading for a shakeup as conglomerate Jardine Matheson is reportedly in talks to acquire the Park and Shop business from another conglomerate, CK Hutchison Holdings. The move could lead to a potential merger of Hong Kong's two supermarket giants, Welcome and Park and Shop, which raises concerns of market monopoly. For more than 4 decades, Hong Kong's supermarket scene has been dominated by the two giants, Welcome and Park and Shop. But the possible merger could tip that balance. Some citizens worry reduced competition could lead to higher prices, with some noting that it's better to have more choices for grocery shopping. Others pointed to the rise of e-commerce and cross-border shopping as alternatives, which have also reduced reliance on traditional supermarkets. The Financial Times cited sources that Jardine Matheson has been in talks with CK Hutchison to acquire Hutchison's Park and Shop and merge the supermarket chain with Welcome under Jardine's DFI retail unit. The deal reportedly has been underway for some time, but it's unlikely that an outcome is imminent. Retail sector lawmaker Peter Hsu says, with growing competition from mainland retailers and the surge in online shopping platforms, Hong Kong's traditional supermarket model is facing structural challenges. Currently, Welcome and Park and Shop operate around 600 stores combined. Their joint market share earlier reached as high as 80%, but it could fall after the merger. Lawmaker Bill Tang raised concerns that the merger could lead to market monopoly with possible job cuts following consolidation. Both DFI Retail Group and CK Hutchison Holdings declined to comment. The hearing on the Wang Fuk Court fire revealed that the Police Force and Fire Services Department still used fax as a method to transfer critical information to each other at the time of the blaze. Secretary for Security Chris Tang admitted that the situation is less than satisfactory and will push for digitization. Timothy Lee reports.
The recent hearing on the tragic blaze revealed that a number of 999 calls made by residents during the Wang Fuk Court fire were not transferred by the police to fire services personnel. Some of those seeking help eventually died. The Fire Services Department indicated that they are still receiving information from the police via fax machines. Speaking at a Legislative Council Finance Committee meeting, Secretary for Security Chris Tang said the faxing method is unsatisfactory, adding that the police will upgrade the system to a basic digital format in around 1 to 2 months. This, as Tang stressed, the police call center would immediately start a joint conference call between itself, the caller, and the FSD once it receives a call pertaining to a fire. But he noted that the system was overwhelmed at the day of the Wang Fuk Court fire. The Secretary for Security further said the police call center currently has around 200 lines, while the FSD only has around 30. In a bid to expand the system, authorities will increase the FSD call center's available lines by 18 within the next 2 weeks, while another 18 to 20 lines will be added in the next 3 to 4 months. By the time the FSD's 4th-generation command system becomes operational next year, the call center will have more than 100 lines. Some legislators question how to increase the system's efficiency. Lawmaker Dominic Lee asked whether authorities will use the upgraded system to check for repeated calls for assistance. Tang noted that the key to handling such matters is putting experienced individuals in charge and their professional judgment. Meanwhile, Tang emphasized the Wang Fuk Court incident should lead to the speeding up of efforts to streamline local and mainland fire services standards, which could allow the city to utilize Greater Bay Area resources in the future to put out fires. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Day 14 of the hearing of the Independent Commission of Inquiry looking into the Wang Fuk Court fire, which claimed 168 lives. Taking center stage today were a former chairman of the Owners Corporation's Management Committee and a construction worker who's stationed near the fire's point of origin. The hearing continued on Friday at Central City Gallery. Testifying was construction worker Chung Yan-sun, who was responsible for laying tesserae and was working on scaffolding at Wang Chung House the day the deadly blaze broke out. He says the process posed a low risk of damaging windows. He said styrofoam boards used to seal windows mainly aimed to prevent debris and mess. He says the flame first erupted on scaffolding along the lower exterior wall of Wang Chung House. At the time, he was on the 4th floor and tried to locate a water hose, believing the water source was on the rooftop but unsure how to connect it. He managed to use a hose briefly to douse the blaze, but water stopped flowing after 20 to 30 seconds. Also taking the stand was Tony Choi, who was the Owners Corporation's Management Committee chairman at the time of the fire. Cui testified that residents received letters in early June 2024 requesting contributions for major maintenance works. He described the arrangement as rushed with an overly short repayment period. After assuming the chairmanship, Cui said he handled proxy votes in the same way as the previous management committee, checking only for errors in completion. Property management staff, he said, were responsible for verification and would place acknowledgement slips into residents' mailboxes. He said there have been reports of large numbers of proxy votes at meetings or cases where residents denied having granted authorization, but such claims were difficult to verify. Cui also said he had proposed carrying out the maintenance works in phases, but the contractor Prestige opposed the idea, citing prior approval from the previous committee. Cui also said he heard some residents allege that Taipo District Councillor Peggy Wang had told residents not to overturn the previous Owners Corporation while they were filling out maintenance subsidy forms. The Commission's lead counsel Victor Dahl cited a written submission from Peggy Wang. Wang denied offering any material incentives in exchange for proxy votes. She said in September 2024, she contacted around 20 households in Wang Fuk Court, some of whom did not support removing the previous management committee and voluntarily provided proxy votes. Tony Choi asked they were unaware the scaffolding netting materials had been mixed with substandard ones, describing the situation as regrettable. They also note that the existing monitoring mechanism had clearly failed to prevent such issues. Cui said he received repeated complaints about workers' smoking habits and attempted to address the situation through contractor Prestige, but efforts to stop that were ignored. A 10-day ceasefire announced by U.S. President Donald Trump and agreed on by Lebanon and Israel appeared to be holding in Lebanon early Friday, potentially boosting efforts to extend a ceasefire between Iran, the United States, and Israel. Tracy Furness reports.
Gunshots heard over the skies of Beirut at midnight Thursday into Friday. But this time it was not about warfare, but celebration over the ceasefire agreement between Lebanon and Israel going into effect. The agreement could boost attempts to extend the ceasefire between Iran, the US and Israel after weeks of devastating war. Israel has not been fighting with Lebanon itself, but Iranian-backed Hezbollah militant group inside Lebanon. Departing the White House en route to Las Vegas Thursday, US President Donald Trump hailed the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon.
Actually, it's very exciting because it's 48 years. We're going to be meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, as you know, and the president of Lebanon. And I had a great talk with both of them today. They're going to be having a ceasefire, and that'll include Hezbollah.
Israel's UN ambassador was cautious about the 10-day ceasefire in Lebanon.
It is, we will have to follow very carefully what's happening on the ground. And if we will feel threatened, we will react. You know, we are not going anywhere. We are holding our positions. We agreed for 10 days holding those positions, having a ceasefire. And we all know that, you know, the problem is not with the Lebanese government. The problem is with Hezbollah. And it will be challenging. We believe in direct negotiation with Lebanon, but we are aware of the complexity that you deal with the Lebanese government, but Hezbollah, they don't take orders from the Lebanese government. They take orders from Iran. We know it's complex, but we are willing to give it a try.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
U.S. President Donald Trump expressed optimism a deal to end the Iran war could soon happen. He told reporters another round of in-person talks may take place this weekend. Danny Rao tells us more.
Speaking to reporters on the White House South Lawn, U.S. President Donald Trump expressed optimism a deal to end the Iran war could soon be brokered. Trump also said he could go to Pakistan, where officials have been heavily involved in mediating negotiations between Washington and Tehran.
Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago. I would go to Pakistan, yeah. Pakistan has been great. They've been so good. Islamabad, I might go. Yeah, I might go. If the deal is signed in Islamabad, I might go. The field marshal has been great. The prime minister has been really great in Pakistan. So I might go. They want me to go.
The 14-day ceasefire between the US and Iran is set to expire April 22nd, but Trump said it's possible the deadline to make a deal could be pushed out further. Trump said he would extend the deadline if he felt a deal was close, and another round of in-person talks may take place this weekend. Iran's nuclear ambitions have proven a key sticking point in the talks so far. The US reportedly proposed a 20-year suspension of all nuclear activity by Iran and for any highly enriched uranium to be removed from the country. Tehran is said to have suggested a halt of 3 to 5 years and demanded international sanctions against it be lifted. The war has led Iran to effectively shut the Strait of Hormuz to ships other than its own. The US has sought to ramp up pressure on Iran's oil-dependent economy by imposing its own blockade on ships traveling to Iranian ports. On Thursday, the US widened its blockade on Iranian shipping to include what it called contraband, such as weapons, ammunition, nuclear materials, crude and refined oil products, as well as iron, steel, and aluminium. The US Navy said any vessel suspected of trying to reach Iranian territory will be subject to visit, board search, and seizure.
All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving and discontinue transit to Iran if that is your next port of call. Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded for interdiction and seizure, transiting to or from an Iranian port. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force.
However, Chairman of the US Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Kane said the US military had not yet boarded any ships and that 13 had turned around. Dan Arel, TV News.
And still ahead. Almost 100 people died due to traffic accidents last year. Half were pedestrians. Pope Leo XIV at the halfway point in his 4-nation tour of Africa. And Hong Kong 7's rugby tournament kicks off in Kai Tak. Welcome back. The Road Safety Council said close to 100 people died in traffic accidents last year, with half of them being pedestrians and the majority being elderly residents. The council stressed authorities will collectively work towards increasing road safety for pedestrians. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Reporting on its work over the past year, the Road Safety Council said there has been a significant drop in traffic accidents owing to the implementation of measures preventing vehicle-pedestrian conflicts on the road. Footbridges and subway structures have increased to 1,600, while the time allocated to pedestrians crossing traffic lights and the number of zebra crossings have also risen. More than 60 traffic black spots have been improved over that period, including the adjustment of traffic lights and enhancement of pedestrian walkways. This as the total figure of deaths and injuries related to traffic accidents last year reached 585, which is a drop of around 33% compared with the figure from the year before. Among the 92 cases involving fatalities, 96 deaths were recorded, with more than half of them being pedestrians. 2/3 of them were elderly residents. Yip Wan Long, the chairperson of the Road Safety Council, emphasized that senior citizens are more prone to being traffic accident victims owing to their slower pace of movement and age-related conditions. He added that authorities would analyze every traffic accident to determine whether certain roadworks, laws, or enforcement work could be improved. He further noted that the police receive over 300 reports of inappropriate driving via its e-reporting platform on a daily basis and believes the measure could help raise the law-abiding awareness among the community. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Myanmar has reduced the sentence of imprisoned ex-leader Aung San Suu Kyi. And the country's former president Win Myint has been freed as part of a broad prisoner amnesty by newly inaugurated President Min Aung Hlaing to mark the traditional New Year. The pardon order applied to more than 4,500 prisoners, but it was not immediately clear how many people imprisoned for opposing military rule were included. State media said in addition to the 4,335 prisoners pardoned, nearly 180 foreigners will be released and deported. Wang Myint is a loyalist of Myanmar's former leader Aung San Suu Kyi. He was arrested on February 1, 2021. The same day, the military seized power and detained Aung San Suu Kyi. Suu Kyi's 27-year sentence has been cut by 1/6. Pope Leo XIV was marking the halfway point in his four-nation tour of Africa Friday, with a day focused on encouraging Cameroon's young people, first with a big mass and then a visit to the country's Catholic university. Leo was traveling Friday to Douala, Cameroon's main port city, to celebrate Mass and visit a hospital. Tracy Furness has more.
Pope Leo XIV held a Mass Thursday before an estimated 20,000 people who gathered at Cameroon's Bamenda airfield. The Pope put a global spotlight on the violence that has traumatized this region for nearly a decade.
This is the moment to change, to transform the story of this country.
While leaving the Mass, a young girl ran up to the Pope and hugged him. People of Bamenda were jubilant that the Pope had come to see them as the Pope brought a message of peace.
I'm standing here in Bamenda in western Cameroon. This is the epicenter of a separatist conflict that has been ravaging this area for nearly a decade. Pope Leo came here today. He wanted to bring a message of peace and to highlight an interfaith peace movement that is trying to care for the victims of this conflict.
Later in the day, the Pope met with Muslim leaders in Yaoundé. Just 2 days before, during his visit in Algeria, Pope Leo called for interfaith dialogue in this Muslim country and urged peaceful coexistence among religions before sending a message of peace to the world. Pope Leo landed in the port city of Douala Friday. The pontiff is marking the halfway point of his four-nation tour of Africa with a day focused on encouraging Cameroon's young people, first with a big mass and then a visit to the country's Catholic university. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Sevens is back at the Kai Tak Sports Park. 30 teams are taking part, and local shops nearby are expecting a 20% boost in sales. Celine Chan has a story.
For many, the Hong Kong Sevens is the biggest event of the year, so of course everyone came dressed to impress. Even Mario and Luigi showed up at the Kai Tak Stadium. The venue is almost completely packed. Besides all the wild outfits, there was also some awesome singing and dancing going on.
Let's go Australia! Let's go Henry!
This group of 9 flew all the way from Australia for the very first time, cheering for their family member playing in the tournament.
It's fantastic. It's a brilliant atmosphere. You know, lots of young people, lots of people dressing up and having fun and having a great time here for the weekend. And the city is a fantastic place to come and visit.
Even the Statue of Liberty and Uncle Sam traveled from afar to catch all the action.
We're really excited to be here and see Hong Kong is a legendary stop at the tour, and so we're really excited to see it.
I've historically worn the Statue of Liberty, but we decided to switch it up this time just to make it a little more fun for Hong Kong.
The observatory issued the amber rainstorm warning in the afternoon, but since the roof was closed, the matches went ahead without a hitch. Max said it's his first time at the Rugby Sevens, but he's enjoying the atmosphere so much and is planning to stay until the end to support the home team.
Hong Kong Sevens is turning 50 this year. The tournament was moved here to the Kai Tak Stadium with 50,000 seats last year.
Shops at the nearby mall are also getting in on the Seven spirit. They're extending their opening hours and expecting a 20 to 30% boost in sales compared to last year. All 3-day passes for the Sevens are already sold out. Celine Chan, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.